We all know that our world is big, but some of us just don't understand how big. For instance, what would you say is the largest land-living meat eater on Earth? And what's the biggest fish in the sea? And just when you all thought insects were teeny tiny in comparison to the rest of us, in comes a Goliath that'll surely knock you out if you aren't paying attention. Welcome to today's show, the 10 largest animals on the planet. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to The Supreme, and click the notification bell for more lit content. Let's get rolling. Big gator. We'll kick things off today with one of the biggest, meanest land animals out there that just so happens to also be an animal that actually shared the planet with dinosaurs at one point. Of course, we're talking about alligators and crocodiles. Now, modern day gators usually max out somewhere around 10 to 15 feet. Crocodiles around 17 feet, though from time to time we do hear of mega-sized alligators and crocs that would scare the living daylights out of anybody. The largest alligator on record, at least according to the Guinness Book of World Records, is Lo Long, who died back in 2013. Lo Long was originally captured in the Philippines and lived the rest of his life in captivity. His max length was just over 20 feet, but check out this picture that shows what claims to be a 15-foot, 800-pound monster gator. This thing was so big that a tractor was required just to lift it up. There was so much speculation around the images and video surrounding this gator, as there's never been an alligator this large captured in the state of Florida. And as it turns out, the image, while not physically doctored in any way, is still a little misleading. You see, there's a forced perspective trick in play here, caused by the little boy, who appears to be standing directly next to the gator. But in actuality, the boy is standing on the other side of the tractor, and he just has his hand raised to make it look like he's holding hands with the alligator. So, well, there's a little trickery in play, but either way, the gator is still massive, and for the record, a Sarcosuchus is the biggest crocodile species in the history of Earth. It's known as the super croc and reached lengths of up to 40 feet and would have weighed more than 10 tons. Ostrich. So we'll go from one of the biggest alligators ever caught in the state of Florida to the largest living bird alive today, the ostrich. I kind of feel like these strange-looking animals don't really get a lot of love. I mean, we aren't trying to be mean, but these birds are super weird to look at. They can't even fly, and they're birds. Anyway, ostriches can reach up to 9 feet and weigh more than 350 pounds. Even though this is a flightless bird, that doesn't mean they're slow. Ostriches can sprint at staggering speeds, up to 43 miles per hour. Isn't that nuts? Oh, and for the record, they have 3 stomachs and 0 teeth. So, well, now you know that. Whale shark. When it comes to animals who spend 100% of their lives beneath the surface of the sea, there's no bigger fish out there than the whale shark. These massive creatures can measure up to 24 US tons and stretch out at close to, if not more than, 40 feet long. Whale sharks, as you may have just heard about in our recent video about the megalodon, aren't even whales, but they are sharks, even though they don't necessarily look like what we're used to seeing sharks be. This slow-moving, filter-feeding animal has an average lifespan of 70 to 100 years. So, hey, they're certainly doing something right. Brown bears. We'll climb back into the world of land animals for this next bit, and our largest land-living predator is something that you definitely don't want to tangle with when it's hungry, the brown bear. For the record, these animals are officially omnivores, meaning that they'll eat just about anything. But just because they don't spend their days stalking and hunting down big prey, that doesn't mean that they aren't ready for a fight. These normally docile mammals can grow over 10 feet tall and weigh more than 1,200 pounds. And don't get it twisted, though they prefer eating grass, fruit, insects, and the like, if they're hungry enough, they will hunt down some meat if that's all that's around. Giraffe. You can't have a list talking about the biggest animals in the world without talking about the world's tallest living animal, the giraffe. Reaching heights of nearly 20 feet, giraffes roam freely in East Africa and typically eat vegetation high enough in the air for them to reach. So basically, trees. And we don't often hear stories about people or animals being too tall, but when it comes to the giraffe, their long necks lift their heads to a point where they're actually too high to ever reach the ground. In an interesting twist, giraffes only need to drink water once every few days, and they only need between 5 and 30 minutes of sleep for every 24-hour period. Now that's crazy. African elephant. Since we're already in Africa, we may as well go from the world's tallest land mammal to the world's heaviest. Up next is the African elephant, the largest of the 3 species of elephant. They are characterized, of course, by their big floppy ears and extremely long trunk of a nose that over the years has managed to be manipulated into essentially being used as an extra arm. The African elephant can weigh up to 6.5 tons and stand over 10 feet tall. And as far as that long, strong elephant trunk, well, they're used for everything from smelling and breathing to drinking, grabbing things, taking care of the kids, sensing vibrations, tons of stuff actually. Did you know that elephants roam in herds? One type of herd is made up of all females and only younger males. The other is simply a group of bachelors who will leave the herd throughout the year at will in order to find someone to mate with. You would think that an animal this size wouldn't have any enemies, but big cats in the wild all gotta eat, and lions, tigers, and saltwater crocodiles will all attempt to make a meal out of an elephant that isn't paying attention. Goliath beetle. So we've covered a bunch of different land-dwelling and sea-swimming creatures that all dwarf the competition. And up next, we'll focus on the creepy crawlies of the world. Of all insects, none are heavier than the Goliath beetle, another creature that can be found in the tropical forests of Africa. The Goliath beetle weighs only 3.5 ounces, and while that sounds light, keep in mind that your average housefly weighs only 11.5 milligrams, which is thousands of times lighter than the Goliath beetle. These insects all grow to about 4.5 inches long and eat plants, fruits, dead animals, and even dung. Queen Alexandra's birdwing. Let's stick with the insects for another minute. Butterflies are beautiful and often considered to be majestic insects, if there could be such a thing. The world's largest butterfly is the Queen Alexandra's birdwing, whose wingspan is almost as long as its name. The wingspan of this butterfly is a staggering 1 foot across. For comparison's sake, most butterfly wingspans are only a few inches. This butterfly can be found in the forests of Papua New Guinea and unfortunately are considered to be endangered. Like many insects, the females of the species are larger than the males, though here, the males generally have brighter and bolder colors. At the time of its discovery, the great King Edward VII was the current king, and the butterfly was named after his wife, Alexandra of Denmark. Red kangaroo. A marsupial is an animal that's first mammal, but are mammals that are born not fully developed and usually carried around in a pouch on its mom's belly. These animals typically are from Australia and New Guinea though, and some, like opossums, do live in the United States. But the largest marsupial on planet Earth is the red kangaroo, which can be found primarily in Australia. The red kangaroo measures just under 5.5 feet tall. Its tail alone could be a staggering 3.5 feet by itself. However, red kangaroos aren't the largest marsupials of all time. That record belongs to an animal called Diprotodon optatum, which actually looked more like a bear than it did a kangaroo or even an opossum. Reticulated python. When it comes to large reptiles, snakes are often top of mind. When people think of big snakes, typically the first thought is about the anaconda of the Amazon. But did you know that the longest snake on record is actually a reticulated python? The longest ever snake in captivity was a reticulated python that was owned by Full Moon Productions, Inc. in Kansas City, Missouri. On October 12, 2011, it measured a staggering 25 feet 2 inches long. Oh, her name was Medusa too, so you may not want to look at her face. The snake was so long that it took 15 men to hold it. Interestingly, however, a few years ago, it seemed that there would be a challenger for the title of world's largest snake as construction workers in Playa Terabong, an island in Malaysia, managed to capture this super long reptile. But sadly, the snake died before it was able to be officially measured, though those on site claimed the beast to have been at least 26 feet. Whoa, some of those animals were just insanely large. It's kind of incredible when you think about how many wild things we actually share our world with. Which of those humongous animals was your favorite? Or better yet, which one scared you the most? Drop your comments down below and get ready for another episode. Thanks for watching The Supreme. We'll see you soon.